Hey guys, welcome back to Colson Scooters. I'm Colson Smith, and in today's video, we're gonna be using AI and see what they suggest for your fish tank. So like the best beginner fish, the best beginner coral, and a couple other things. We're gonna be using Chat GPT as the AI, so yeah, let's get in the video. So like I said, I'm gonna be using Chat GPT. I'm gonna screen record it on my phone right here, so you'll see it on like one of these sides or the whole screen or whatever. So here we got the Chat GPT. We're just gonna first search what are the best beginner saltwater fish. We're just gonna see if I agree with it. You should be good fish-wise, but we'll see. Just waiting for it to load. Okay, so we got about a solid list of 5 fish here. Number 1 is clownfish. I would completely agree. Clownfish are definitely really good beginner fish. Next one would be damsels. I'd say damsels would be a good fish, but they can be very aggressive. It says here that they are hardy and easy to care for. They come in a range of colors, and they're relatively inexpensive, which is true. They're usually very cheap, but the only problem with them is they can be very aggressive. So make sure that you're aware that they are aggressive fish, so you don't put them with other fish that, I wouldn't probably put them in the beginning, just because they would set up their dominance, and they'll end up being like, have their territory set up, so they'll be even more aggressive. The next one on the list would be gobies. I would agree with that. Gobies are definitely a really good beginner fish. They do jump pretty often. So make sure you have a net on the top. The next one, firefish. Same as the gobies, they're really easy. And honestly, firefish are technically a goby. They are also jumpers, so definitely have a lid for them. But they are great fish as well. And then Royal Grama. Royal Grama is good. It says that they are peaceful, but they can be a little aggressive sometimes. Usually they're fairly peaceful. But yeah, they have a really bright pop of color like it says. Yeah, it's a great fish. So honestly, the top 5 list, I would agree with it fairly well. The only thing is damsels. I don't know if I would recommend a damsel just because of how aggressive they are, but let's see what it says for coral. Okay, next let's try coral. So we're gonna search what are the best beginner corals for a saltwater aquarium. I don't know if it'll actually know, we'll see. Oh, it's making a list, so that's good. So it looks like it just makes a list of 5 things here every time. Which is good. I can see some that I don't necessarily agree with, but yeah, let's see. Okay, so number 1 is mushroom corals. Completely agree with that. I would say number 1 would be a mushroom coral. It looks like they gave all soft corals. Soft corals are definitely the easiest to start with. LPS would be that next second step. But for soft corals, these are definitely the easiest ones. So mushrooms. Then the next one on the list, they said zoanthids. Zoanthids are really easy. Honestly, my favorite beginner coral like all time. The next one's gonna be green star polyp. Green star polyp, you just gotta be careful with it because it grows very fast. I usually like to keep it on the back wall of an aquarium, and it'll grow up and cover the wall, and it's green and fuzzy. It's really pretty. It just can grow really fast. As well as zinnia. Zinnia is very, very quick grower, and I honestly wouldn't recommend it for any tank unless you're pretty much just wanting to do zinnia. Like I have pulsing zinnia in my puffer tank with Fred, and that's just because there's no other coral in there. I mean, there's some anemones, but they're not gonna get affected by it, so I just let it go. But yeah, it grows like a weed, so if you do keep it in the tank, even if you keep it off the side on a little island, they break off and they'll move around the tank. So they're pretty much just gonna spread through the whole tank. So I wouldn't recommend zinnia, but if you really like it, you kind of set something up to have like the most of the tank be zinnia. Just be prepared for that. The next one is leather corals. Leather corals are really good. Toadstool leathers are probably my favorite. You do have to be a little careful with like the finger leathers and stuff because they can release a toxin in the water when they are like stung or cut or anything like that. So just run carbon on the tank, you'll be fine. My 20 gallon actually crashed from one of these. I had a little Kenya tree in there and my hammer fell on top of it. I wasn't running any carbon on the tank, and it was gone for the whole day, so it was just constantly stinging it. So it released a toxin. I came home, my tank was all cloudy, and pretty much all my coral had died, so just be careful with that. But yeah, other than that, these corals, I do agree with most of them. They are really easy to take care of. You just got to be careful with the Xenia and the green star, and then the leather corals with their poison or toxin. So let's get into the next thing. Okay, the next question I'm gonna ask it is going to be like, what's the best lighting for your tank? So it looks like it's just giving me like a category of type of lights. So the first one we have is LED lighting, which would be like your radions, your AI primes, anything like that. Personally, I would recommend radions or AI primes, like I said. If it's a smaller tank, AI primes would be great. If it's a bigger tank, I'd recommend getting radions. And then it also recommends T5 lighting and metal halides. Those are both really good. The only thing is you do have to replace T5 lights pretty often. And then metal halides and T5s, honestly, they get pretty hot, whereas LEDs, they stay relatively cool and they usually have a fan running. T5s and metal halides grow coral very, very well. We do run them at the farm at Top Shelf in some of the tanks, but as like I said, they get pretty hot. So if you're doing it at your house, just know that it will heat up your house pretty bit. Okay, next I'm gonna ask it, what are the best reef safe fish? And I don't know if it'll give me the same list, but we'll see. Clownfish, #1, gobies, #2, so far that's the same. 3, blennies. Okay, we didn't get blennies last time. Blennies is definitely a good one. And everything else looks like it's the same. So honestly, they didn't really give me much for that. But blennies, they added to the list. Instead, what did they take out? They took out damsels and they replaced it with blennies. Honestly, I would say that would be best for the beginner list, is replace blennies for damsels. Blennies are really good, and they have a couple types that'll eat algae really well. So I would say blennies are definitely a good one, but these are all reef safe as well, so that's good. Okay, the last question we're gonna be asking is, what fish should I avoid for my saltwater aquarium? I don't know if it'll give me this, we'll see. #1, lionfish. It says that they're just aggressive and they're venomous and they'll eat smaller fish and invertebrates. #2, we got pufferfish. These are also aggressive according to them, and they damage coral and invertebrates, which is true, but there are some triggerfish that you can keep in a reef tank, like the blue throat trigger. Pufferfish at #3, just because they eat coral and they'll eat invertebrates as well. Tangs, because they can be aggressive with other tangs and they require a lot of space, so they're not suitable for smaller tanks. I mean, tangs are good. I would just, if you have a big tank, you can have tangs. Just be careful with them. They can get sick a little easier. I mean, I wouldn't say they're a fish you should avoid, but I mean, I guess they get sick and they're big and they can be aggressive, but I mean, if you have a big tank, like back over here we have the 150, we have a lot of tangs in there. Groupers are known for their large size and predatory behavior because they can eat smaller fish and invertebrates, and they require a large tank. So I mean, if you had like a predator tank, then you could have all of these fish. So I mean, I guess if you're not setting up a predator tank, then yeah, you should avoid these. But if you're setting up a predator tank, this is like the perfect list right here. Maybe not tangs, but everything else. Pretty much, yeah, it's a pretty good list. I guess I would agree with that. I would also recommend staying away from anything that would eat coral. Like filefish or copper bands are another hard one, just because they can eat coral and they usually don't eat. I know I have one, but they usually don't eat. This one does, I don't know why, but yeah, and then maybe some other expert level fish like mandarin gobies and stuff. You want to wait till you have pods and all that situated in your tank before you get one. Okay, overall, AI did do a pretty good job answering all my questions. Chat GPT gave me some good options for fishing coral for beginners, and overall did a pretty good job. With that being said, that's gonna wrap today's video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like and maybe subscribe. And yeah, until next time, peace.